So everything that's been going on lately has just been complete insanity. It leaves me wondering, like, am I on an operation bed under a medically induced coma and I'm getting my liver stolen from me right now? Or did I go to the bar and someone spiked my drink and now I fell into a K-hole I can't crawl out of? Did I slip into an alternate universe? Like, did I have some sort of science experiment that went wrong and now I'm living in a different universe? Because the Constitution is so beautifully written and does an excellent job limiting the government. How are we having these problems happen? Like, for example, with the rare breed trigger, yes, this is a different case because if you bought it before July of 2021 is one story, but none of the other companies where the ATF has did a cease and desist or told them that their part is a machine gun continue to sell it. So you have this other group of people that's uncharted territory. I don't know what the hell is going to happen there. So the feds show up at your house and they demand your trigger. Well, that's a problem because there's something called the Fifth Amendment. In the Fifth Amendment, it says you cannot be deprived of property without either due process or compensation. And they're not offering either because that trigger has not went in front of a jury to decide whether it is or is not a machine gun. And this is the rub. Even if Rare Breed wins their case, it doesn't matter. It's still a machine gun because the ATF determined it to be a machine gun. It needs to go all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court needs to say it's no longer a machine gun for it not to be a machine gun anymore. If you don't believe me, look at the bump stock cases. Every single one that has went to court, the people that have been the defendants have won. The bump stock case, nobody in their court cases has the jury decided that is in fact a machine gun. And yet they will still charge you with a machine gun with the bump stock until it hits the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court's like, no, this is no longer a bump stock. So therefore, the due process on that is missing. They decided, without any due process, that they can seize your property, and they're not giving you compensation for it. So I'm like, how is this possible? How are they openly violating the Fifth Amendment and getting away with it? Why can we not do anything about it? But typically, let's pretend these other group of people didn't exist. The rare breed thing gets really, really dicey. Because there was an approval letter for a forced reset trigger, which is more or less the exact same design as theirs. So you would think that theirs would also get approved. So they sold it under the impression that, yeah, ours is going to get approved as well. There's no problems there. And people bought it under that. And now there's ATF agents going around seizing property. So not only did they seize my product, they're trying to get me with ex post facto. So ex post facto, before July 21st, that was a legal product. There's no way it can go back to 1934 or 1986 because it didn't exist back then. They used Chevron deference to decide that it's a machine gun. Because it never existed before, it's always been legal because it never existed. They recently, just July 2021 is when it became illegal. You purchased it before that, you are covered under ex post facto. The example for ex post facto is, say you park your car on the street and you wake up in the morning and it's gone and there's a no parking sign in front of it. They can't do that. They can't just put a no parking sign in front of your car because your car was there before the no parking sign happened. Basically, you can't get charged for a crime prior, like, say they make wood paddles illegal tonight. I can't get charged for possessing a wood paddle because it was made illegal tonight and I owned this before it became illegal. So with the rare breed trigger, the only way they can handle that legally is to open up the NFA again and allow you amnesty to bring these products back in there. But they don't want to do that because they want to keep the NFA closed, so everything was before 1986. So they're violating an absurd amount of laws to make this happen. If you get caught with them, you will still be charged with a machine gun crime. Because they just circumvent having to defend themselves and go straight into prosecution. Which is, it's just insanity. So like, I keep looking and looking and looking like there's gotta be something we can do. I'm not willing to accept the only last option out there. And we're all familiar with it is, so I'm not even going to talk about it. But I'm not willing to accept that's the only option we have left. Because there's been checks and balances, so there's always oversight. Like, there's always one group that watches another group, and that group gets watched by another group, and they're all watched by each other, and they all make sure they perform well. Well, the code that is relevant to this is 18 USC 242. That's this right here. So this is the paperwork you would file on what they're doing to you. However, who do you file it with? Then I stumbled across something called the civil grand jury, and I had a lot of hope for that. I'm like, there it is. There's the oversight committee. That is the person that can do this. And yes, they are in fact the oversight committee for the government.
Well, some of the things it says the grand jury is authorized to do is investigate complaints of government mismanagement, verify that public funds are properly accounted for and legally spent, inspect conditions of all detention centers and jails,
Yes.
inquire into charges of willful misconduct by public officials or employees.
So basically what they do is look over like public parks. Okay, has this money been spent, the way it's supposed to be? Oh, so it hasn't. Here's a recommendation to the public park how they can change it. That's about it. All they can do is recommendations. I'm actually editing right now, and the whole section of the video I'm about to chop out was kind of this doom and gloom. 18 USC 242 won't do anything, and the civil grand jury is useless, because I was looking at the stats, and I'm like, 98.28% of these get denied. I'm like, oh, that's ridiculous. The odds of one of these actually making a difference is like next to nothing. And then the epiphany hit me, and I'm like, wait a minute. If I could even get 150,000 views on this video, and only 10%, which is a reasonable number, file 18 USC 242, that would mean, out of that 10%, that would be 15,000 filed, which means 258 of these will actually go somewhere. And we only need one judge, or one DEA, or one ATF agent prosecuted publicly that would change the landscape of the country, because then there would be oversight. They would know that their actions in willfully and knowingly violating the Constitution in multiple different occasions can net consequences. And it would make all of them take a step back and be like, whoa, I don't necessarily think I want to just go around breaking constitutional laws because Fred over there is sitting 10 years in prison for doing it. So maybe I should just back off a little bit. So the new point to this is you need to file now and you need to file often. Do it daily if you have to. File these 18 USC 242s. If we can get 150,000 views on this video and only 10%, only 10, not 50, not 60, not 40, only 10% of you file that, we will have 258 of them that actually go somewhere and actually seek some sort of prosecution or some sort of relief, and I promise you that will change everything. So, anyway, appreciate you guys watching my video. If you'd like to support the channel, got my Patreon right there. I also have affiliate links in the description down below. Just by clicking on that link, even if you don't purchase what that particular link is for, just clicking on it and doing the Amazon shopping you were already going to do anyway. A little kickback for it because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.